And I continue to say that even who the declared winner did not win. You might have been declared by whatever means, but you've not won the election. Reuben, to win is to win the people. Democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people.
Our problem in this country is not people going to vote. It's what happens at the collation centers. The whole idea of the electronic transmission is not about free fair. It is about credible election. It is to check the malpractice that goes on in the collation. Good.
The conversation around the Supreme Court judgments for the presidential appeal will continue for the rest of this year and probably sometime next year, or maybe in future to come. We'll still be having this conversation because of the issues surrounding this particular election in 2023. Welcome to Elect TV, and this is Jay. The judgment that was given by the Supreme Court on Wednesday last week, or Thursday, there is a much reactions coming in as many people are still making conversation. But however, the former presidential spokesman, or let me say the presidential campaign council spokesman, Kenneth Okonkwo of Labour Party, review Wells. There was something that many Nigerians don't really understand about this Supreme Court judgment, although it was televised. But when you look at the grammatical, or how will I even put it, the terminology or the words being used and the manner at which this judgment was passed, if you are not a learned person, I mean learned person in the sense that if you are not a lawyer, you may find it very difficult to understand what the judges were saying. And as a result of that, I'm bringing to you some of those things that the Supreme Court, the judgment passed, especially, that the INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, promised to deliver through electronic transmission and through the portal, which is IRF. And unfortunately, that never happened. And as a result of that, the Supreme Court says this has reduced the confidence of Nigerians, which reduced the credibility of the election. So if the credibility of an election has been reduced because the due process are not being followed, then what happened? Why do you still upheld the decision of the body which reduced the credibility and the confidence of that particular election processes? Is something not fishy with the judges already? So here is Kenneth Okonkwo throwing more light on this particular issue on IRF and the Supreme Court judgment.
Is where, with respect to the Supreme Court, they got that all wrong. And I'm talking about the law, not my opinion. The Supreme Court was romancing paragraph 93 of the regulations and guidelines of the conduct of election by INEC. Thank God, by even mentioning the paragraph 93, they have agreed that subsidiary legislation is part of our laws. Now, paragraph 93 is not even applicable to this petition at all. Paragraph 93 is in a case where there is no hard copy of Form EC8A. What you would do in a case where there is no hard copy of Form EC8A. It is not the case of the petitioners that there was no hard copy of Form EC8A. So the Supreme Court, even relying on 93, is even wrong. It does not even apply. But let me tell you what they did that brought the whole contradiction. Supreme Court was saying that uploading on IRF was not mandatory. Good. Even by the paragraph 93 they quoted. Paragraph 93 said, if Form EC8A is not there, you use the result electronically transmitted and you use the result uploaded on IRF to declare the result. So if the law does not mandate the uploading of result on IRF, where would you see it to use? This is by the paragraph 93, which they love so much, which is not applicable because it is not the paragraph that is responsible for collation. The paragraph that is responsible for collation is paragraph 48, A and B. I am surprised the Supreme Court did not even mention it at all. Let me tell you what it said. It said there shall be collation only when the collation officer confirms the veracity of the result in the beavers of the accredited voters and confirms, I'm talking about B now, or 48, of the number of votes that is transmitted electronically into the system, that if the collation officer does not have it to confirm, to verify, there shall be no collation. This is by paragraph 48AB. Meanwhile, paragraph 38I and II said INEC must electronically transfer and transmit using beavers to the electronic system. And you do a scan copy of the result and upload it on IREV. These are two different things. Transmitting to the INEC server, or whatever you call it, and uploading on IREV. These are two different things. Stated in paragraph 38, I and II. Let me tell you something. Supreme Court talked about section 60, which talks about transfer. They did not mention anything about section 64. And section 64 is the section that deals with collation. And I'm talking about the Electoral Act. And section 64, 4AB, made it clear. The collation officer shall collect result and announce it, subject to his or her verification of the manual result with the result in beavers and with the results electronically transmitted. I'm talking about section 64, 4A and B. Supreme Court did not mention it. So how can you be mentioning sections that has nothing to do with collation? And then you're telling us that it is not in accordance with the law.
Well, you sound angle. And you know, talking about this, it is very obvious now that the Supreme Court judges, you know, should have done better. Even though Robert Clark once said that he blames the opposition lawyers that they were supposed to do a nice job, but even at that, if you look at the way they passed the judgment, even with those evidence provided before them, you could see that something is wrong literally with the judgment. But what can we say? It is just left now for the opposition to, you know, see how they can put their house together and knock out the APC-led administration in 2027. So being a good opposition is another thing, and winning an election is another thing. So for the next 4 years, what will the opposition be doing? Will they be preparing for the next election, for getting the governance? I think they need to put eyes on this particular government for the next 4 years as they await to take over this mantle back in 2027. If they are able to convince Nigeria beyond reasonable doubt that the APC-led administration have tried for 8 years and has failed, and tried for another 4 years and has failed. So what do you think? Let's have this conversation at the comment section. Thank you.